Hello, welcome to Reginaldesq. I on the hook. This is review. Tier 6 Czechoslovakia medium tank. Skoda T25. Is good? It's average. It's an average tank. It has good things going for it. It has a really interesting gun. It has a 3-shot autoloader that only takes 8 seconds to reload the magazine, which is really quick. And it fires the rounds, the time between each round is only 1.33 seconds. Super fast. Probably, I think it might even be the fastest firing autoloader in the game, other than the machine gun cannons of some of the lower tiers. So that's an interesting thing about the tank. It's also quite fast in a straight line. Doesn't turn its tracks or turret very well though. It's also advertised as having 10 degrees of gun depression. I say advertised because I don't believe it. I think it's actually about 7 degrees of gun depression, because normally a tank with 10 degrees of gun depression has the turret mounted on the front of the tank like this one does. Normally they are fantastic on hills and you can just expose your gun over the hill and basically shoot with your gun. This tank, I almost always have to get my entire tank, front of my tank, over the hill before I can get shots. So I don't believe it. I think it's about 7 degrees of gun depression. Let's have a quick look at the crew before we get into the tank comparison. Actually, I might have a quick look at the gun as well. I'll tell you what I've got on the tank. I've got binoculars fitted. I went binoculars rather than optics, even though I'm mostly active scouting this, because the view range isn't great and I want to get as much out of as I can in case I am in tier 8 games and I just need to do a lot of spotting. Then the other critical thing is the enhanced gun laying drive and the vents, and I'll show you now why I've done that. Here's the gun. So the gun has an aiming time of 2.1 seconds, which is good, but the shells fire every 1.33 seconds. So you'll see that means that after you fire that first shot, let's say you fully aim, you fire the first shot, now you've got to wait another 2.1 seconds to fire the next round, because the bloom, it does get pretty big before you can fire again. So the aim time for me, the aim time in this tank is critical, because if you're firing at medium or long ranges, and I've watched other people playing this tank online as well, and virtually almost nobody hits with all 3 shots. Even at reasonably close range, you nearly always miss or hit like their track or something that you're not aiming at least one of the rounds. So it's very hard to get them all to hit. So for me, it was critical to get this aim time down. As you can see, 0.38, the gun is fairly accurate. The other thing about the gun is it's low penetration at 132. And we'll talk about that a bit later as well. But 110, so if you get all 3 shots in, it's 330 damage, which is great. But like I say, hard to do because of the slow, it's not a slow aim time, but it's slow compared to the speed of the gun. So I have done that. So I have gun lane drive, speed aiming time, and I have vents as well, my primary to speed up the aiming time. My command has 6th sense, which is great, and he's working on recon. This guy has snapshot and he's working on concealment. This guy has concealment, it's working on smooth ride, and this guy has situational awareness and is working on concealment. All the games you watch, they probably actually only just have their first skill and haven't even started on the second skill yet. So all of that means that I have my aiming time down to 1.79 seconds, which is really quick, although it feels slower than that, but apparently it's that quick. And yeah, so that helps a lot. And my loading time is down to 7.5 seconds to load the magazine, which is phenomenally quick. Let's now have a look at the tank comparison. Okay, I've tried to pick out a tank from every nation to compare. Basically, DPM is kind of average on the low side. Penetration is also low at 132. The only tanks lower are the Easy 8 and the Type 58, both with 128. The best in class is the Cheeto with 155. So low penetration means that this tank will do better if you fire gold from it. The reload time, 8 seconds for the whole 3 shots to load, is pretty darn good. You compare it to, say, the T34-85 with 6 seconds to reload its gun, and the VKP with 6.9 seconds to reload the gun. So you can see that to load a 3-shot magazine is pretty quick in 8 seconds. What else can we tell you about it? So potentially you can do 330 damage per clip, and it says here in 2.67 seconds. But of course, if you wait for it to aim, it's more like about 4 seconds. The shell velocity of 900 is pretty good for a tier 6 medium tank. You see, it's better than everybody except the STRV with 925 and the T34-85 has 950. So pretty good shell velocity, which means hitting moving targets in theory isn't too hard.
The aim time of 2.1 seconds is very good, but still not good enough, as I explained, for this gun, but you can beef it up. The STR V74 has a fantastic 1.8 second aiming time and is the best in class, but it needs it with no armour, although it does have freaky 15 degrees of gun depression. So all the others are around about 2.3 is the most common, except for the Cheeto, which is a sort of a weird one with 2.1, bit OP, that one. The dispersion of 0.38 is of course a pretty meaningless figure anyway, but it's, okay, I guess. Now the actual moving traverse and all that sort of stuff isn't great. The actual track traverse of 0.20 is better than some, worse than others. I guess it's average. And the turret traverse, no, this is dispersion and this is handling, so we'll move on to that. Gun depression of 10 degrees, like I said, I think it's fiction. I think it's really actually 7 degrees. And if you put it like that, it's kind of average. Forward speed of 60 kilometers an hour is really good in this tank, and it is fast. You can use it to get into advanced spotting positions, which I do often, especially in tier 8 games. I'd like to try and get out and spot. So it's very good at that, and that's one of the reasons why I have binoculars fitted. The problem is when it starts to turn. So it's good in a straight line, but it's awful at turning. You can see that here with these terrain resistances. It has the worst or equal worst terrain resistance on hard, soft, medium here, but when you get to effective terrain resistance, you can see it's basically the worst tier 6 medium tank. And I will show you in some gameplay me attempting to circle tanks, and I think the one you'll see, I won't talk about because I'll show it, but I also had one with I was circling a T150, tier 6 Russian heavy tank, and I tracked it with my first round and then continued to circle it, and when I got a bit over halfway around my trip around the tank, he shot me and killed me because his turret traverse alone was faster than I could drive around. I could circle his tank. So it's fast in a straight line. You can get to places quickly, but circling other tanks is not a really good idea in this tank unless they're like really, really slow tanks. The armor is awful at 50 mils at the front of the hull and 50 mils in front of the turret. There is no side armor, 35 mils, so you can't side scrape in this thing. The other tanks you can see here, some of them, yeah, look, we can say the STRV has terrible hull armor and turret armor as well. It actually has slightly more hull armor. But really, yeah, some of the tanks have quite good armor. This one has none. Now, really though, that armor only matters when you're top tier, like you are a tier 6 tank in a tier 6 game. If you're not top tier, the armor doesn't matter that much anyway, so it's not that big of a disadvantage considering what we only have about 20-something% of our games at top tier these days, and about 48% or something are bottom tier. Health of 730 is a little on the low side compared to the other tanks. The lowest is the T35 with 720. The best is the Cheeto with 820, which God knows why it's got 820, but it has. What else can we tell you? View range of 360 isn't great, but then that's how they are at tier 6 medium. Some of them, such as the Easy 8, the VKP, and the Type 58 all have 370, inexplicably, because this tank is much higher than those tanks. So I don't know why it has a lower view range. It shouldn't really. Radio range of 710 is very good, and that's about all there is to the comparison. A really quick look at the armor. Sloped at the front, but even it comes up about 63 mils, 73 down there. The turret is really flat, so it's 50 mils and it's still 50 mils. The mantlet itself has tiny bits of reasonable armor, but not much. The sides here aren't much to speak of, 35 mils, so you can't really side scrape or do anything like that in this tank. Really, just don't let people shoot at you. The map is Siegfried Line. We're bottom tier. Yes, it's a tier 8 game, and let's face it, almost half your games are bottom tier, so the tank better work at bottom tier these days. Not like it used to be, where you had a third of your time at each tier. These days we have a third of our time at middle tier, and then most of our time at bottom tier, and a little bit every now and then at top tier. So they've got to work at bottom tier. So we get a spot off there. Now the AMX 12T that you see there has more penetration than we do, does more damage per clip than we do, is faster and more maneuverable than we are, has about the same amount of armor but is a smaller target than we are. essentially, the 12T, and the only thing you could say we have advantage would be gun depression, but really, as you said, I don't think our gun depression is an advantage. We're actually worse on the move than they are. Yeah. The advantage we have over a 12T is that we have more hit points. They have, of course, have the scout camouflage whilst moving as well, which we don't have. So really, and the armor's, you know, like I say, I think the 12T actually has better armor than this tank as well, as far as the hull's concerned anyway. So I treat this, especially at tier 8, pretty much as a light tank, and I just try and spot like I'm a light tank. The only thing, of course, you don't have the maneuverability. We have, actually the forward speed's pretty similar, but we just don't have the turning ability that they do. So you can see here, 1, 2, 3. Now, all 3 of our shots hit there on the side of that Super Pershing. Only got 1 penetration. So the penetration does suck at tier 8, and that's another reason why I treat this as a light tank at this tier and just try and get spotting and stuff like that. So now in this game a little bit later I will show off a bit of the circling ability of the tank, or lack thereof. So I actually get one into the 12T, another one in. Can we finish him off? Oh, somebody else gets our shot off before we do. So that anyway, it was good. We got a couple of shots in, and that's where it's good, just being a bit sneaky there. And this IS-6, I figure, oh, well, I don't want to get in front of him, but if I can keep him spotted, look, artillery's targeting him there at the moment. We might get some spotting damage here. Bit of an unusual place for an IS-6 to push, I think, but you know, as you can see, when I'm just turning my tracks here, it's quite slow. I am worried about this IS-6, and I don't want to keep getting spotted by him because I'm actually worried about getting hit by artillery myself, because hits with artillery to this tank are pretty devastating. He spotted me again, so yeah, what I'm trying to do is stay a little bit out of his proximity spotting range so that I can move up the hill and spot again, but I'm really worried about him coming over the hill. He's sitting too high on the hill. It's like I'm too scared he's going to come over, and here he comes. So I'm going to try and track him. So I'm moving. As you can see, on the move, the accuracy is terrible. It just balloons out of sight when you're moving. Now he shoots me here. He just YOLO straight over the hill. Side to side now I'm going to do circling. This is the circling I'm talking about. Also, pay attention to my spotting damage. So we get one shot in here, another shot in there. So he's got a lot of health left. I don't know who else could have been spotting this tank up to now. Here comes Artie's going to fire, so I'm trying to stay a little bit out of the range of Artie. And unfortunately I hit this water here, which slows me down. Now he's been trapped this whole time. He gets another shot into us there. This is what I mean about the circle. Look how slow we're going trying to circle this guy. And the penetration is bloody awful. And now, it's only because he's tracked that I can circle him. So now his tracks come back up, and it's finished for me. Nowhere I can go. And we get killed. So I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I got about 176 points of spotting for that, off that tank. And I just got 10 there. Total of about 176. So who's getting all the spotting damage, guys? Not me. So that was a class 2 game. We did hardly any spotting actually. So I set out to spot, but it just doesn't work. I don't know what they've done to spotting, but I've been driving a lot of light tanks lately, and it's really hard to get spotting damage. I don't know whether artillery is stealing it or not, but for that IS-6, that whole episode there, I got 176 spotting from start to finish for it. And I think I finished the game with about 300 spotting. So if I'm circling a tank, how am I not getting the spotting damage is what I want to know. So if any of you know, is it artillery? Once artillery hits it and stuns it, are they getting all the stun assist damage? Or if somebody else has tracked it, does that override spotting damage? Does everything override spotting damage? Anyway, enough about that. Tier 8, we didn't do very well. 24 shots fired, 18 hits, 7 penetration. Kind of sucks, but that's just how it is for most games now. Yeah, so if you fire nothing but gold, obviously you'll do better. This is a kind of tank that, yeah, you'll do a lot better. Assistance damage, yeah, 364 for the whole game. The map is Westfield, and we are almost top tier. The enemy team has 2 tier 7s, and one of them's artillery. The other one is an SU-152. We also have an SU-152 and the exact same Lorraine artillery on our team as well. So quite balanced there at tier 7. So that's good for us. That means we hopefully won't run into them. So moving up here to a spotting position, the Cromwell is being more aggressive than I am at the moment. As you can see, he got up the hill a little bit quicker than us. He's heading to the more sort of advanced spotting position, and I'm going up to this sort of one up on the top here, trying to use the supposed gun depression of the tank. So waiting for our binoculars to kick in. Oh, actually they already have kicked in, so hopefully we'll be able to spot people coming across. Maybe... not much happening. Here we go. So we've spotted this guy, and it was us that spotted, not the Cromwell. And we've also spotted this Panzer IV. I put one to him, and I decided to spread the love around. Put the second one to the Panzer, and now I've got to get out of here before everyone starts shooting at me. So I had basically, I knew I had about 3 seconds. I think it takes 3 seconds, doesn't it, for people to spot you, something like that. And we got some spotting damage there on the VK, so that's good. I'm hoping now that... now, actually, no, I'm not sure, did I... yeah, I did get spotted, didn't I? Yeah. So I moved back, and now we've got this Crusader. We haven't spotted, somebody else has, but can we... yep. So you can see if you let it fully aim, the gun's not too bad there. Once I started moving, my aim was terrible that last shot. I don't know where it went, but nowhere near him. I'm thinking about moving up here now to help out the Cromwell, because I see there's a couple of tanks up there. I'm just not sure. Then I think, you know what, yeah, let's just do it. I'm trying to try and conceal my approach a little bit, going through these bushes. Now the VK3001P I have just recently reviewed, which I think is a great tier 6 medium tank. Has a fantastic gun, and also has a bit of armour. So I probably shouldn't have come up here. There's a dead tank here which is protecting me from the VK. Put one into that Panzer IV. And we actually, I think we get all 3 shots into that Panzer IV here, which is great. Currently we are still on full health, which is nice. We've done 765 points of damage. So we've already done our tank's hit points of damage. We get a 750. But I exposed myself a little bit too much to the VK there, and he puts one into me. Now he puts another one into me. I didn't think he would reload that quick. And as you saw, we bounced off the turret of the VK. So that is a good tier 6 tank. Especially when it's top tier. It's virtually a heavy tank when it's top tier, because its armor is quite reasonable, and it does 220 damage per shot, as we just found out. Although he hasn't got the top gun, because he only did 135 damage per shot, and that is why he reloaded so quick, and that's why he caught me out. Because I thought, oh, I've got time to keep aiming because he won't reload yet, and that's what it was. It was because he hasn't got the top gun, so it's a faster reload. And this time I put one into him. He gets one into me though as well. So I went through his turret that time. They have got an M44 artillery, which is a real worry, because that is just about the best artillery in the game at the moment, and I don't want to let myself get spotted too much, because it would devastate me. Fire one here at the Crusader. It wasn't fully aimed. Generally, shots that are not fully aimed, as you saw there, another one not fully aimed. That one wasn't quite fully aimed, but it was almost there and it went in. But generally speaking, if you're not fully aimed in this tank, it's hardly worth firing. Unless you're point blank. Decide to use the trees to conceal myself a little bit more, but he's over the ridge. See if we can get him now. Looks like he's chasing out Chaffee. I see the T-34, but I'm guessing he's AFK, so I'm not going to bother shooting at him. We'll get rid of this Crusader is chasing out Chaffee. Now we spare one for the T-34, which misses, unfortunately. I'm going to let myself re-aim here. There's not too many tanks left on the enemy team, and I don't think I got spotted for somehow. So the first shot went well to the right. I think probably hit his track on the right. So you can see accuracy isn't this tank's biggest asset. I got spotted there. I'm not sure how or from where. Seeing as I've only got an SU-152 and artillery left, in fact, I think that's bogus that I got spotted. surely it wasn't that Lorraine that spotted. I don't know. And all 3 shots pen. When that happens, when all 3 shots pen, it is glorious. Oh, it would have been that leopard back there that spotted me. I didn't realise the leopard was still in the game. There's the SU-152. And we get one in. And that one misses. And that one was a critical hit. Didn't do any damage, I don't think. Which is unfortunate. We probably hit his, I don't know, what did we do critical damage to? His cupola or something, his view range, but didn't pen. We hit his roof and it skimmed off. So there's only the SU-152 left in the game, so I decided to sit on cap while I just pre-aim and wait for someone to spot it. However, I'll put you out of your misery because artillery just hits it with a blind shot, and that's the end of the game. So another Class 2 game. We did hit quite a few tanks though, so we had a good influence on the game. Did spot some tanks. The only thing we got any spotting damage on though was the VK. So we finished on top for our team on XP. What about damage? 1596. And top for damage in the whole game. Not good enough to get high caliber though, apparently. We fired 30 rounds, 20 of them hit, 17 penetrated. So nearly top tier, so the penetration is coming out a lot better. And but still missing a lot of shots. So we missed a third of our shots. It's pretty typical in this tank to miss quite a lot just because you're firing without being fully aimed because of the damn autoloader. 1596 damage is nice. Almost half of that was long range shooting. Spotted 4, damaged 8, destroyed 3, a little bit, 182 of assistance damage and 30 base capture points. And if we discount that 10 grand that was going for a promotion at the time, we would have made about 24,000 profit. And what was it? 730 something XP as a Class 2. This time we are actually top tier and we're on Corellia. Like I say, 64k, so the speed of this tank is fine. It's just really its traversing that sucks. I'm going to try and get up the hill without getting killed, hopefully. I'm looking on the enemy team and I don't see there's any massively tanks that are going to blow me up with one shot. Maybe a Hetzer. And there's a Panzer 38NA. I fire a shot just in case, but I actually decide to press C and reload the clip here. Because it reloads so quickly, it's kind of worth doing on this tank. Now, the Panzer is only, what, a tier 4, I think? And also, he's a fairly new player. You can see him here just stopping there. I don't think he realises this is an auto-loader, and I can fire 3 shots in such rapid succession. So he made a real mistake there. I mean, he was smart to go for the hill and get here nice and quick. But I think he just didn't realise the tank he was up against, and I feel a bit sorry for him because he was bottom tier, but hey, what do you do? So now I'm just edging up because I'm worried about tank destroyers hiding on the back rocks up there, and I don't want to pull out too quickly and suddenly find I've exposed myself too much. So I get one into that VK 3001P, the one that I reckon is a great tank. I get the feeling that the Panzerfleischer was going to come around on me there, so I decide to back up without firing the third round. Because the turret is mounted on the front of the tank, it's not bad at the old peekaboo. Pop out from a rock and fire and come back because it's you don't have to pop out too much of the tank. Although that said, it is a fairly big tank. Fortunately, other people are spotting these tanks for me. He's not looking at me. So we get a couple of shots into him. Very nice. And that's where this tank excels. If you see that somebody has fired their gun, then you just pop around the corner and put all 3 into them. It's great. He's looking at me. Oh, well, the shot's already gone in, so I may as well stay and finish. But then the Panzer IV decides to come up, and I put one to him as well. But he gets me for 142. We took that HE shot fairly well there. We actually bounced the VK. It says potentially 350 damage. I don't know why it says 350 when it actually does 220 damage per shot. So finally those tank destroyers have arrived, and I get shot by a T-67 and a Hetzer. The Hetzer shot me first, then the T-67, then the Panzer IV puts his HE shell into me as well. The Hetzer put a HE into me as well. That wasn't good. And the T67 fired a gold round at me. Fantastic. So, as you can see though, the HE, if it hits you in the front, isn't too bad from those tanks. 130, 140 damage. It's not like devastating us completely. I think they must have been hitting us in the front though, or the turret, where we had the 50 mils. The 35 mils of armor, I would expect them to do a lot more damage than that. Now, because my health is now so low, I'm a one-shot kill, or potentially a one-shot kill. I decide to not go around with the other tanks around that bottom flank anymore. Because they were the tank destroyers sitting here, I decided to come up here and take it a bit easier and hide in cover and try and get sneaky shots off. I might just speed it up to 2 times here while we're sitting in the bushes. Now there was a Churchill up here, I think. Oh, there it is. It's spotted again, so we might get shot. So back to normal speed. Waiting for it to aim. Good. Aimed again. Hit the turret and bounced. That one went in. So, okay. Well, we hit with all 3 shots that time. Just one of them bounced. Can we reload in time? No, he's dead. Don't think I'm going to get the head, so I'll go to 2 times again. Oh, I decide to move down here from the look of it. Back to normal speed again. Oh, no, I'll go in 2 times again. And back to normal speed. We're starting to see some tanks here now. So I'm hoping to just use these bushes for a bit of concealment and get shots off. So that guy disappeared. I'm going to blind fire. Hit the rock from the look of it, so it looks like we missed him. That guy, that shot misses. That one hits but bounces. So that was unfortunate. That was an unfortunate bounce there on the Panzer IV-H. I'm really not sure why that didn't go in. The side armour of the turret isn't very good on the Panzer IV-H. But World of Tanks does that to you, doesn't it? I'm sure we've all been there. Little whiny sound of the turret turning. Sounds like it's an electric turn, not a hydraulic. Whoop. And we get the killing shot. Yes. Yes, yes. And those guys, I can't see them. I've still got 2 rounds left in the clip. Do I decide to reload? No, let's get the Hellcat. I can see that he was going to go behind cover to decide to fire before I'm fully aimed. There's that KO again. This time we get one into him and we have to reload. 67 up there. I'm going to speed this up to 2 times. I'm not sure if I'm going to get another shot or not here. I keep thinking there's someone behind that bush. Here we go. No, we missed him. Sorry, that was on 2 times. And he's not presenting himself. Well, it's time to get up there. We probably should have moved a bit earlier. Is he going to come up over the hill? No, he's probably not. We're not getting any of these tanks, folks. I'll speed it up. Nah, game over. So again, a Class 2. I think I did get a couple of Class 1 games, but they were mainly just sort of spotting and they weren't really interesting, so I didn't show them. High caliber, good stuff. And we finished second on our team with 1,731 damage, which is good damage. 743 experience, 25 shots fired for 19 hits, and 16 penetrations. Penetration's not bad when you're top tier. The total damage, 1731. Most of it was actually pretty close range. Hits received 5, 4 of them penetrate, so the armour is useless, but somehow we bounced the VKP, which has really good pen. It says 350, I don't know why, because it does 220 damage every shot. Maybe it's got another gun that has like a lower pen but higher damage, and it does have a lot of guns to choose from, the VK, so we might have been using a sort of a low pen but high damage gun or something. 6 damage, 2 destroyed, and it would have been about 24,000 profit without that special bonus thing going.
Thank you for watching review of Skoda T25 Czechoslovakian tank. Hope you like. If did, please up the thumb. Have fun.